Alright, howdy folks, good morning. Let's see, I don't know, yeah, I guess you could see me on here. It's a new season. We just got our wood stove, all the bricks replaced in there, got our chimney swept. So I'm on my second fire this morning, and it's a little tough to start sometimes without fire starters. So I like to make my own fire starters. My wife, she collects the lint for me in this old coffee can. We're going to be using that today. I got Gulf wax, which is heating up in this little pot right here. This is from when I used it last time. What I end up doing is I remelt more wax for when it comes time to do it again. But I just use the Gulf wax here. Sometimes I use candle wax, whatever I got. But old candles, I like to save them for emergencies. And so you can see it comes with 4 blocks. I already melted one in there. But anyway, I like to save old candles for emergencies. I make 100-hour candles out of those by using old Crisco, and you liquefy the Crisco, and as it starts to cool again and thicken, you just place your candle in there. We'll make some of them in the future. And I use an old canning glass or canning jar. But for today, what we're going to do, I had gotten a bunch of these milk crates. These hold, let's see, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 eggs. And I got stacks of these from back when I was working at the prison. They would throw them away, so I would take them home. And I just take my lint, and I don't care. There's no perfect mixes. Just stuff them in there. You don't even have to put a lot, because really it's the amount of wax you use that makes them burn a long time. Honestly, it's not necessarily the lint, but I like to use the lint because it's it's free. Well, you pay to run your appliances, but it's just a byproduct of drying your clothes. And why throw it out when you can use it? So fire starters are important. So you can use fire starters. These fire starters, if let's say we did have an apocalyptic event, life-changing event, where you had to go to natural resources to do your cooking, heat your water, stuff of that nature, you can use these fire starters to get a fire going outside. Especially if you don't have a lot of kindling, which tends to be the case with a lot of people. They don't have the hindsight to prepare on the level that I do. Not saying that anything is better or whatever, but this is my lifestyle, so I happen to prepare for these things. A lot of people are just going on with their daily lives, going to work, going to church, going grocery shopping, and they don't think about these things. They don't think about what happens if the power goes out tomorrow and it goes out for 3 weeks. Well, at that point you are scrambling, and you have probably less than 3 or 4 days worth of supplies in your house if you're not actively preparing for things like that. So that's why it's a good practice to implement depression style living into your lifestyle. And I know a lot of people, like I've talked for hours and hours, they're asking me questions, people I've worked with, they want to know about survival and this and that and preparedness, but they don't want to take the action and execute what they just learned. They want somebody like me to come and do it for them, hold their hand. But I'll teach you everything I know, but I'm not gonna come and do it for you. It's that whole thing. You feed a guy a fish, you get a meal for a day, but if you teach him how to fish, you never have to deal with him again. All right, so I try to keep them a little bit separated. Makes it a little easier when it comes time to rip them apart. So you could just see that. Now I just gotta wait and give my wax time to liquefy. All right, so if you notice, I have tin foil down on the stove top, and the reason for that is if you spill the wax on the stove top, it is very hard to clean. If you spill it on here, it's no big deal. You can actually almost peel it off and drop it back in your pot. So that really neatens up the whole procedure here. Now you see what's going on here with the wax. So I had it turned up a little bit high to get that melted. But I highly recommend you do not walk away at this point. This has a low flash point, so this can start on fire if you're not paying attention. So like I only turned it up to like a medium temperature for just a few minutes, just to get this process going a little bit faster, otherwise it'll take forever. But as soon as it got to this point and you could still see some solid in there, I cut the temperature down quite a bit. But I'm paying attention to it. When that solid part of wax or section of the wax starts to liquefy, I'll immediately shut the burner off. If I'm gonna do, which I am gonna do, a second tray, after I pour this one, I'm gonna immediately put another block of wax in there and start melting again, because I'm gonna do, I think I have enough wax for 2, maybe three trays. So this is what they look like. But I'm not going to melt anymore because I don't want to get that wax too close to the top. Makes it harder to pour. Alright, so as you can see, it's just about ready. Alright, so that's the last of it. So I took it off the heat, and let me make sure you guys can see this good. And we're going to go ahead and start to pour. So be careful here, because you don't want to splash yourself and you don't want to make a mess. Sometimes I mean, this ain't a great pot, so sometimes it gets a little messy and it pours all over the place. That's why I'm actually ready with a little paper towel here. So go easy till you get a little good pour going. See, this one's going to be a little bit sloppy. Whoops. And I don't mind going a little heavy with the wax, because that makes your starters just burn that much longer. But one of these days I got to get a better pot to pour. This thing sucks. And see, now it's pouring a little bit better because there's less wax in there. But I make sure I get a good coverage. And really it's the wax that holds the lint, the dog hair, and all that stuff in place. Alright, so that's perfect. So now I'll give this a quick wipe. And when I'm done, this will be a nice fire starter too. So I'm going to go ahead, I left the burner on. I'm going to go ahead while that's starting to cool, and I'm going to put another block in here. So I'll probably melt either 2 or all 3 of these blocks. So now, so you can see now I spilled wax here, wax all over here, and I got just a smidge on the stove, dang it. Alright, that just a drop, like not even a drop, just barely, but you can see it's hard to clean that stuff. So use the tin foil. So I'm going to get this one off of here. I'm going to leave it on the tin foil so it will cool. Now I'm going to grab another, which I have right here. And if I haven't mentioned it before, man, I love my new kitchen. Everything is perfect. I got room for all of my stuff within arm's reach. Alright. So while the camera was off, I already set up another tray. And as soon as this wax is melted, I'll get back to you. All right, you can see that the blocks are melting relatively quick. I got it on like a medium low setting, more towards medium. But like I said, you do not walk away from this at this point, because that'll burst into flame and you will have a mess and burn your house down probably. Now I also have fire extinguishers close by. I got one right here underneath the sink, and I have a fire blanket that I have actually several of them, but I have a fire blanket not 3 feet from my right hand up in the cabinet. So safety first, people, safety first. All right, what I also want to point out is you don't need these style egg crates for this. You can use regular egg cartons, you know, small boxes, pieces of cardboard even. You can just, you know, do a sheet of cardboard and put a pile of, you know, this lint all around and just cover them with the wax. That'll work. You can put it all together. You can, you know, dump a whole bunch of wax inside a container with the lint, and then you can cut them apart if you wanted to. There's a lot of things you could do. Don't feel like this is the only method, the only way to do it. I got a new camera view, but I don't know if you could see, but it's still got a lot of solid wax in there. Okay, while the last of my wax here is melting down, I just want to show you. So by using the tin foil here, you know, I could take flakes of this and dump it right back into the container. So now I'm not wasting too much. Now if this stuff poured onto the stove, I would not be able to do this. You're not going to get it all, but the little thicker sections, because this golf wax ain't cheap. It's like $10 per container there. So every little bit adds up. It's all just going to go back in for fire starters. And if I really wanted to, I could probably heat this wax on the tin foil, liquefy it, make a little bigger droplet, and then, you know, you get the idea. But just to show you, we try not to waste anything. Alright, so this second batch of wax is just about to liquefy. And I'm going to leave the burner on because I got one more block I'm going to melt in here after. But we're going to go ahead. I don't know if you can see it or not, but that little bit is about to disappear. Alright, that's close enough. It's going to keep melting. Alright, it's gone now, but I'm going to go ahead and start pouring. And you notice I'm turning, so where it dribbles, I'm going to dribble onto the lint. So I was hoping I'd have enough for a third one of these. I'm not gonna. Matter of fact, I got barely enough for this one. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna melt one more block and just pour it over the top of this one. So that should go pretty quick. So another thing with the melting the wax, you don't want to turn this up too high right now, even though I got a full block in there, because what's going to happen is you're going to begin to boil the liquid that's already in there, and that's when you're going to get trouble, where it's going to ignite into fire. You don't want that. You do not want this wax to catch on fire now, because it's going to be hard to put out. Just saying. But so I got it just at a warm enough temperature where it's melting relatively quick, but you know, I'm being very cautious. I'm watching it. Alright, so this last batch of wax is liquefying, and I just calculated this out. To make 30 of these with a $10 box of wax, this had cost me about 33 cents each to make. And right here I got 60 of them made in just a few minutes. So I think it's a lot cheaper than buying them at Tractor Supply or some of those places. And I also just figured out that if you, let's see, for one package of 30 is 3 bricks out of the one box. So if you bought 3 boxes, you got 12. Then you can make 4 of these, right? 3, 6, 9, 12. Yep. See how I'm a math magician. Did that in my head. So that's it. Now you can be careful, but now I can take this and wipe out. There's a little bit of dirt in here. Alright, now I got it. This is a fire starter too. So this, I just let it cool down and then I put it in a drawer and get ready for next time. But that's it, folks. That's how I make fire starters. Thanks for watching.